Well, hello everybody. It's Mike here. I just want to welcome you back to Mr. Cast Iron and thank you for joining in with us on Weekends with Mr. Cast Iron. And we've got a special guest with us tonight. We've got Mac with Small Town Texas Barbecue, and so we're going to pick at Mac a little bit, try to figure out a little bit about his channel and a little bit more about him. So let me pull Mac in here. You guys hold on just a second. Hey, Mac, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for this opportunity to talk to your audience and whoever else is out there today.
Well, you're certainly welcome. Can you hear me okay? Everything going?
Everything's perfect.
Good deal. You sound good too. So, well, good deal. Well, man, we're certainly glad to have you, and been looking forward to this interview. Been wanting to kind of pick your brain a little bit. I've watched several of your videos, and it's very, very interesting. I've really enjoyed a lot of your videos that you do. You're very well, I don't even know what the word I want to use, but
crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too, and it takes that for us to do what we do, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely does. You got to have a mindset to want to get on this camera because, people used to tell me that I had a face for radio, and I started doing these videos and I'm like, man, do I really want to be on YouTube? Honestly, I mean, go on. It's a little bit crazy. So yeah, I'm just here trying to have a good time and enjoy. I love barbecue, so that's basically what my channel's about.
Cool. Well, we got some folks that's popped in here with us. We got Mark. He's up in Maine somewhere. We got Robert Crow's Outdoor with us. I think he's in Arizona somewhere. Mike with the Dude's Kitchen and Grill. He's in Idaho. And Jehu Hernandez. I haven't had Jehu, so good to have you with us, brother.
That's my pastor, by the way.
Okay, awesome. Good to have you, sir. Certainly, certainly. But anyway, I'll just continue to welcome people as they come in, and we'll go ahead and pick up and start moving forward. But, you mentioned that about barbecue, and I just was curious what actually got you started to do YouTube? What made you decide to do YouTube videos? Let's put it that way.
A while back, I was sitting around and I was thinking about, I'm doing all this food at my house and for friends. And many years ago, I used to do some catering. Just don't tell the city of San Angelo about that. But yeah, I did some catering for friends and for family and for church functions and stuff like that. And so I was doing a lot of stuff and learning, as I was going about a lot of that stuff. And a lot of fun to be able to learn all that. And so I started wanting to get things on video. Now, some of the stuff that I had there, as you can see, if you go way back, and I'm leaving it for the integrity of the channel and for posterity to see, it's not my best work, but little by little, it's improving. I'm working on getting different cameras and other stuff to make the quality better. But my thing was that, hey, I'm already doing this. Why don't I just make a video out of it and share it? Wow. And if I can highlight what my initial thing was to highlight what the people out in barbecue world, the barbecue fam, like we like to call it on Instagram, people that are out there with their barbecue restaurants. And I wanted to go out there and share what they were doing. And one of the main reasons why I started doing that is because I have a dream of having my own barbecue joint someday and opening that up. And so I started to research and I started to look and I started to find out, hey, what are other people doing? And the very first place that I stopped at was Franklin's in Austin. And of course, Aaron Franklin is a big dude in the business. And of course, I'm not going to get to meet him. So I just showed up, stood in the line for about an hour and a half. It was a very cold day, and that was lucky for me because I didn't have to wait for 4 hours. Right. So that was the first place I went. And the next place I went was Valentina's in South Austin, close to Manchaca. And so very awesome guy. I got there at like 6:30. My mind was saying there's going to be lines out the door for these places. Right. I get there at 6:30. Valentina's opens up, I think around 7:30 or 8. So I get there and I'm sitting there in the parking lot and the owner is out there working. And we just start talking and I'm telling him, I said, I'm doing research because I want to learn how to do what you guys do, and I want to be able to someday have a place. So with that, I was videoing things and I was taking pictures, and I was like, I'm going to learn this somehow. And I asked him, that's something I always do when I go out and talk to people, is that, hey, can I actually take pictures, and can I get some video with you? Can I talk to you? And so that's the main thing. So in the process of going to see people making barbecue and doing barbecue, I started thinking, well, I can make videos about this, document all that. And hey, if in 30 years it monetizes, great.
Right. I don't think it's going to take you that long, but anyway, that was kind of one of my questions that intrigued me about your channel. Of course, the name, number one, Small Town Texas Barbecue. But when I got to looking at your channel and watching some videos, I noticed that you were doing kind of reviews of other barbecue places, small places around small town Texas.
Yes.
And, of course, you and I talked a little bit off of record a while ago, a little bit about that. And I worked out in the oil field in West Texas for a time. And then I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area for several years, actually, and drove a truck in and around all through Texas, and of course, coast to coast, really. But I did a lot of work in intrastate also. And some of those joints, man, I just almost know without a shadow of a doubt, some of them that you've reviewed, I'm almost certain I may have stepped in and had a piece of barbecue, but I'm not 100% sure. Before we go on, I want to just say little Eric's with us in the house. Little Eric, he's 6 years old, and he does some cooking, man. He's down in Trinidad. He's an awesome young man, and I just love him to death. And so we got several other people here. Looks like Matt Williams in the house. Blue Smoke Blair's Barbecue. Good to have you cooking with this guy. Steven's with us. And so we just want to welcome all you guys. And if you guys have any question for Mac, just be sure and type it in the chat there, and we'll try to catch it. But so anyway, getting back to that a little bit, Mac, what did you do? How did you decide to do the reviews on barbecue channels like that?
Well, I was out there, and I was getting footage, and I was talking to the owners. I was picking their brain, kind of like you're doing to me today. I sat there with them and tried to find out, and the thing is that the barbecue family is very hospitable. So when you go out there and you talk to people, they have an idea that, they're going to talk to you. If somebody doesn't want to talk to you and they've got too many secrets, you really don't necessarily want to be there. But what I started to do was I'd call people, or I would text, or I'd get on Instagram and send them a quick message, and I'd say, hey, I'm going to be out in your area. I'd love to feature your place on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be there on such and such day. How do you feel about me coming out to talk to you probably about a couple of hours before service starts, and see, what you guys are about, and find out a little bit more about you? And so that is kind of me trying to learn and see what people do. And so many folks are so hospitable, and they'll take you behind the pits, and they'll show you everything, and they'll talk to you about what they're doing. The thing is that you have to learn so much just by watching what they're doing, Mike. It's one of those things where when you get out there, you learn by seeing what they're doing, because they can tell you all day. And they have certain equipment, and they have all kinds of cool things there, but you may still not get it, because it's something that's such an art. And I've met so many interesting people that are out there doing it, and wow, you learn. So the whole thing with me is that I was documenting already for myself, and I figured, why not share what I see, and when it's a good place, and it's a great thing. I met with so many people who were starting out. One of them in Creedmoor, Texas, Randy Estrada and his wife, just a small little trailer that they were doing out there. And I went out to talk to them, and you go out there and they're just like, wow, you're out here helping us because you're spreading the word about barbecue. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Mike, and tell you straight out, if I go to a place and it's horrible, I'm probably not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I learned a long time ago that, and especially during COVID, that I'm not going to give a bad review on somebody because their livelihood is at stake.
Right.
There's so many places right now that have gone under in Texas barbecue.
Yeah.
And so for me, I want to give as good reviews as I can. And if I can't give a good review, I've had a meal, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, man. This COVID deal is really, it's changed the world. I mean, of course, Teresa and I both just recently, I've recently gotten over it. She's still kind of battling a little bit of it, but restaurants have taken a huge hit, and
Yes, sir.
so if we can pump anybody up, certainly want to do that and try to support them in any way we can. I know a lot of places around here, and I'm sure down your way too. They're still trying to make it. They're still trying to cook and just maybe pass it out, as in a car or whatever, in a line or whatever. They may not even be able to come in and sit down and eat or whatever. But it's put a hurt on a lot of them, and a lot of the people that work for barbecue restaurants or just restaurants in general.
Yes, sir.
And so that's something we need to always remember too. I got a couple other questions here. I'm going to pick your brain tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've been so excited, looking forward to this. But when did you actually start your channel? You may have already just said that, but I forgot what year it was.
Me starting to actually make videos was in January of 2019. That's when I went down to Austin and Lockhart, and I went down to Gonzales. I went to Luling. I went to a bunch of places that are known for barbecue. Some of them I wasn't familiar with, but down here in Texas, we got the Texas Monthly Top 50 barbecue joints, and they update that, every 5 to 7 years, I think. And so I kind of looked at what was down there, and I wanted to go check it out. And so January of 2019, I went down there and spent about a week, and by the time I got done, there was one day I'd eaten barbecue 3 times in a row, and I probably ate 4 or 5 pounds of barbecue. And by the time I got home, I was just like, man, I need to take it easy, because it's a lot. I mean, meat, I love meat. I eat meat every day. But the thing is that you get out there and then you start eating different barbecue, and you eat all this stuff, and it's very interesting, a lot of fun. But I love doing that, love the travel, and love meeting people. And you meet so many interesting folks in the lines, if I can say that.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned some of those towns. Don't they call that the Texas Hill Country down in that area?
A lot of that is definitely is going to be Texas Hill Country when you're dealing with Austin, and then a little bit further now, Luling and Lockhart. A lot of those, there's a lot of oil rigs down there. I don't know if you remember that, but those places are old school barbecue joints in Lockhart, and they do things a little bit different than they do in Austin. Austin is more what you call Texas craft, and then the places down in Lockhart are more along the lines of the old school people that started all that stuff back in the day. So it's very interesting that you go down there and you see the juxtaposition of, hey, this is craft, and this over here is old school, hot and fast. You got some slow and low, and then you got some in the middle, and people all have their different methods, and you can see that when you go out there. So for me, it's so interesting because I get to go out there and talk to people, and they will share a lot of what's in their brain, and they'll tell you about the wood they use. They'll tell you where they get their meat from. They'll give you all kinds of information. You don't even necessarily have to ask. You can just be like, hey, tell me about what you do, and they'll come out with it.
Yeah, that's cool. You was talking a little bit earlier about you like meat. I guess I need to jump out there and just ask a question. What's your favorite food?
Well, see, I have a favorite food. Yeah, it's my favorite food, and anybody that knows me is going to know this. Brisket is my thing, and I like it because I like to try to perfect it, but I also like it because it's one of my favorite things to eat. Started eating it when we were little kids, and that was like a special time, and it holds a lot of memories for me because we had that at our family get-togethers, and it was something that my daddy would put on, And so for me, it was something that we'd eat at those special times, because it's a big hunk of meat and it costs, even back then it wasn't something, it was cheaper, but for somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of money, it's a big hunk of meat to pay for.
Yeah. And it's a challenge to master brisket too, isn't it?
Definitely a challenge, because depending on what you do, it's something that you have to learn. Now, you can, the way I do things at my house, and I'm not gonna say anything mean about anybody. I have a lot of friends who use pellet grills and things like that. Right. To each their own. I'm gonna get one someday, because you know what? I'd like to spend some more time with my family. I've got a few offsets, and the fact is that you got to stoke those fires, and you've got to be able to maintain temperature. So learning that, being able to get those fires straight is a skill. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I'm still, depending on which pit I'm smoking in, I'm still learning that. So it's something that I try to learn every single day. And I do cook almost every single day. Yesterday, I put in I put in a chuck roast, took some pictures, put that on Instagram, put in 2 briskets last night overnight. We talked about that earlier. Then this morning, after I had started those briskets, I started another one for here that I got from an online meat service, and I made that. And so, I'm always trying to learn something. So depending on where you get the meat from, where it's sourced from, and what grade of meat it is, like if you're going to get a Walmart Packer brisket versus a prime or a Wagyu brisket, there's a few things in there that you might do differently based on what you're cooking. A Walmart brisket, a lot of times, I've heard people talk about doing it more hot and fast. Some of the other stuff, 275, like a prime or a Wagyu. And I've tried so many different things with them, and a few of the things I've tried worked. And back in the day, I thought I knew how to make brisket a few years ago.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. I'll tell you that. And I'm still learning every day, Mike.
Regis did it. Says you're looking good, brother.
Thanks, man.
Hey, this is a buddy of mine right here down in Florida. He said brisket's good, but if you had possum, it's terrible. Stick with brisket.
Yeah, that's funny, because we watched the Beverly Hillbillies growing up, and we felt a kinship to them, and we thought it was hilarious. But my daddy told me, because my daddy lived on a ranch. Okay, my grandma was out on a ranch called the Hattie Ranch out in near Sanderson, Texas. And this was a huge, gigantic ranch. You'd have to drive for hours to even get to the main road. And so they were out there, and my dad actually lived on that ranch too at some point. And so he told us that they used to eat stuff like that. And he said, you never had anything so good as you had a possum, or you've had this, or you've had that. He talked about eating armadillos, and I just looked at him and I said, what in the world, Daddy? Yeah. I said, you're crazy.
Yeah, no, I've never had any of that either. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I haven't. I haven't had to.
I haven't had to either.
There were some guys we were talking the other day at work, and we were talking about. There's a lot of them doing some fishing this time of the year. There's a season where you can do what's called snagging, and they've been going fishing, and yes, they were talking about snagging a turtle and everything. I said, well, have you ever had turtle soup, or have you eaten turtle? And I said, my dad used to talk about that all the time. He just loved it, but I never have eaten it, never have tried it. And so possum and, certainly armadillo and some of those others, I'm going to have to say I'd have to be awful hungry.
We had a neighbor that actually would eat skunk. Okay. I don't know how. Yeah. He did. I was like, I just didn't get it. And then he tanned the furs. So he was something else. His name was Orb, and he's long gone by now, but he was an interesting old guy. And I'd see him walking down the street, and I was like, that's the guy that eats skunks.
Wow. Carrie with Virginia Chick Off-Road's in the house with us. Good to have you, Carrie. And Stephen and Jacqueline, they're down in Trinidad also. Good to have you guys. And
How do y'all?
Of course, certainly Roy down in Florida, canoeing the edge of the world. He's a blast, man. We pick at each other all the time on all of our or my videos or whatever. We can go way off out in the weeds on comments and stuff, talking and cutting up and carrying on. So good to have everybody with us. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions for Mac, be sure and type them in there. We'll try to get them up on the screen and see if we can get him to answer some of those. So, while I'm thinking about it, I've asked you several questions, but I wanted to find out, do you have a certain cooking channel or not necessarily cooking, but some type of food channel that you like to watch that intrigues you or impresses you maybe?
There are quite a few, actually, to be honest. There are some great resources out there. Malcolm, I think it's Malcolm Reed, and he has a great channel, How to Barbecue Right. I love watching his stuff because he's got so many different videos. I watch a guy out of the Netherlands, I think it is, called Pitmaster X. He's also very interesting. And so some of those, they really intrigue me, some of the things that they do. There's also some smaller ones. Smokin' Joe's, he's out of El Paso. I like his. T-Roy Cooks is another one.
Smokin' Joe's, I'll have to look into that.
Smokin' Joe, yeah, he's a good one. Check him out. And you need to maybe get him on a chat sometime soon. But he's got some good stuff, and he's got a variety of smokers. And that's one of the things too. If you look at a lot of these folks, they have a lot of different smokers, and so they can show you a variety of techniques and thoughts and ideas for the things that you do. Of course, I've recently met some folks through your channel and seen some different barbecue folks. So starting to get into theirs. How's it going? Is that Patty Joe?
Yeah. Are you subscribed to Patrick?
I think I am. I've watched a few of his videos. So we saw him. Was it the week before last?
Yeah, we had him. Well, I don't know. I don't remember what day. It's all running together. But yeah, I had him on a week or two ago. He's down in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, he had me thinking about men at work the other day because he was eating some Vegemite on his thing, and I was like, I was wondering, and I'll have to go look at the labels sometimes. I know that I've seen it in a store somewhere, but I've always wondered what's in Vegemite because I have no idea.
He's wondering that too. So, Mike says he feels stupid. I don't know why, Mike. We're all just trying to figure it out, brother. But Patrick, he's a lot of fun. I enjoy fooling with him. We've got some food channels that you like. Do you have any other off food channels? Anything that non-food channels that you enjoy watching from time to time?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting that you would ask that because there is a channel out there, and they've already got a bazillion followers. But I love that channel. It's called Life Uncontained, and it's a couple that moved from Florida. And they built a container home here in Texas, and they started from scratch. Have you ever seen it before?
I think I have seen part of that. Didn't they just recently, let's see, did they have a balcony or a porch, something they just finished or something? Maybe?
Yeah, they did that. And they're, I think this week, and I haven't seen the video yet, but I think that they're doing sheetrock is what they're putting in. And I love watching them because they have an interesting dynamic. They doing that kind of stuff like off-grid living is very interesting and intriguing to me. I would love to live out in the boondocks and go see what's up. And they are doing that for themselves. They don't have to pay electricity because they've got the solar, and they've got a little baby, and you see her growing up, and they got a couple of dogs, and every once in a while a big bull gets in their yard, and so it's pretty cool. And I like seeing the process of them building everything, and they make mistakes there. It's they have great victories, and then sometimes they don't, and you get to see all that stuff that they put out there and learn.
Yeah, that's awesome. Karen with in the kitchen with Karen's in the house with us. Good to have you, Karen. Good to see you. I'm going to have her on. Well, I had to change the date with her. I got an issue coming up. I've got to go have some things checked out. So we had to change her to like the 16th? Yeah, January the 16th, Saturday.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that. Karen, if she hadn't already hit 1,000 a day, she was bumping right against it this morning. I
Oh
watched
yeah.
her videos. I'm so excited for her. She just she does an awesome job, man, and she certainly deserves that. And I'm looking forward to an interview with her. But well, let's see if I can pick at you a little bit more. Do
Okay.
you when you're putting your videos together, or when you're creating a recipe, how do you go about putting that together? Is there any certain thing that do you say, well, this is something that I grew up with, so I want to cook that, or how do you come about your recipes that you want to record?
Well, one of the things that I've tried to do is to recreate some of the things that I've seen out in the places that I've been. So down here in Texas, it's very simple. I used to make brisket with about 15, 16 different spices. Okay. I have a rub that I've used. I hadn't used in a long time. I hadn't put it together, and spices cost a lot of money. But down here in Texas, a lot of the places that are out there are just doing a salt and pepper rub. And so for brisket, I typically tend to use that. One of the other rubs that I got a relationship with the guy, we talk about it all the time, is the West Texas rub. And a lot of times I'll do a recipe just to highlight another product and kind of show, because some of my folks, Blue Smoke Blair's one of my folks. She's one of my friends. She's one of my buddies. I noticed she said, "I love you" earlier. Hey, girl, I love you too. And I
Yeah, I'm glad
appreciate
to
you.
have you.
Competition barbecue, and she does that comp, and she does sauces. So a while back, I did a little YouTube video that kind of highlighted her sauce, and I use that. And a lot of times it's also what I'm able to afford that week. So it's about what I'm going to put on the grill. A while back, I did some trimming videos, and typically what I'll do is I won't always do a big competition trim, but I want to get as much fat and silver skin off that brisket as I possibly can and trim it all up if I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to try to get it in the barbecue pit. Typically, I go about 275 degrees on that. And what we've learned down here in Texas is that I'm going to cook that thing until it's probe tender. So you've got a temp probe. Now, you could have it probe tender at 195. You could have it probe tender at 200 or 205, depending on the type of brisket you have. And that's why it's figuring out and learning those things, because I can't go and tell you, hey, Mike, go put this brisket in your barbecue pit.
Right.
And based on so-and-so, it's going to be ready at this time. It's a matter of you going in there and probing it and temping it and seeing what's there. So I decide what I'm going to cook based on a lot of times what I want to eat. Sometimes, Mike, I want to eat those beef ribs that you saw the other day. I want those really bad, and I love them. Ever since I went to a place, I got this big beef rib somewhere, and I just knocked my socks off, and I was like, I'm going to make that at home.
Yeah, that was a big rib, man. That was impressive. Yeah. Hey, Jose says, what's your number one barbecue restaurant recommendation for the Hill Country?
Well, for me, there's so many great places. Right now, everybody's on a high about Snow's Barbecue, and I love Snow's. I really do. But if y'all see the hat that I'm wearing, Valentina's Tex-Mex Barbecue, you can go there at 8 in the morning. You can go there at lunch. You can go there in the afternoon, and you're going to get fresh homemade tortillas. You're going to get a big beef rib. You're going to get a taco called the Real Deal Holyfield Taco that has brisket and salsa and beans and all this other stuff on it. He has a wide variety, and I'm going to tell you why that's number one for me. Now, I love every other place that I talk about on my channel.
Right.
But the reason why Valentina's is number one for me, there's a couple actually. Number one, when I went to his business, Miguel Vidal talked to me, and he didn't hide anything from me. He invited me to see what he was doing. He said, man, his exact words were, anybody that wants to do this, I don't have any problem helping them. I don't have any problem showing them. That's number one.
Well, was he the gentleman around back at the shed and he was stoking a fire or something? Was that him?
He was one of them. Yeah, he was one of them. You'll have to look at one of those way back in my history. Now, I've been to Valentina's. I typically don't go to places more than once because I want to go to other places.
Right.
I've been to Valentina's 3 times in the last 2 years. That'll tell you. And I've had something different each time. But you walk up to the window, and when you see that they've got tortillas in their little ball shapes ready to put out, and they're ready to go with that and ready to move on it. You're talking about fresh food. And the other part of it for me in Valentina's is the fact that they eat and they make food the way that I ate when I was a kid. Yeah. Stuff that we used to eat, like when we'd go to a party for one of our cousins. My uncles would throw these big old fat beef ribs out on the grill, or they'd have a brisket, or they'd have fajitas. And I'm going to tell you, nostalgia is just like, it just blows your mind. It's just like, it takes you back. And every time I think about them, and I wrote this on my Instagram a couple of times, every time I think about them, it transfers me back to when I was a little kid, when we used to have these gigantic family reunions at Easter, and everybody would have, everybody brings their own barbecue pit. Now, this stuff's all homemade back then, Mike. Yeah. Everybody welded their own stuff together. Yeah. So my daddy's out there, my uncles are out there, my great uncles are out there. Some of them sometimes would dig a hole in the ground and bury a beef head and cook that out there. But Valentina's for me is number one because of those things, not because it tastes better than anything. And some of the stuff there is beyond amazing, but it's because of the nostalgia for me, and because of the fact that it just is. Miguel Vidal is just a great person.
Yeah, man, making my mouth water, wanting a little tortilla with some fresh brisket on there, and some pico de gallo, and fresh jalapeno, man. That makes me hungry, dude.
You got to get you some of that.
Carrie's asking, she says, Mac, what's the weirdest thing you've ever cooked, brother?
The weirdest thing I've ever cooked. Man, that is a question. She would kind of stump me with one of those. Trying to think. The weirdest thing recently, golly, it's got to be that bologna I made the other day out on the grill. It's not completely weird, but I'm trying to think. I don't remember ever cooking. I've never cooked anything really crazy. Let me just be honest with you. My daddy was the one talking about the possums and stuff. I caught one in the backyard one time, and I looked at it for a brief second, and I posted it on Instagram, and everybody got mad when I said, "Oh, these are some good eating. We're about to have us a good night tonight." So everybody was upset about that, and I'm just like, hey, I'm not really eating it. It was just a joke. I know it's a baby possum, and I know they eat bugs. So no, I haven't cooked anything really totally weird. And one of the things behind that is that I'm so trying to perfect the basics of what I'm doing. My briskets, my beef ribs, my pork ribs, even, grinding up brisket trimmings for burgers, things of that nature, because I'm trying to learn my craft. And so that's one of the things that kind of gets to me, is that I'm really trying to learn those things. So I'll cook some stuff many, many times, and I might have to go talk to her and see what she wants me to cook so I can make something weird. I saw a guy barbecuing a camel a while back, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, that's a touch too much there, isn't
it? For me, it may be.
Let me see if I can find another question. I think I passed one up a little bit ago.
Hey, thanks, Karen. Thanks for that comment about the bologna. Thank you so much.
What's your brisket prep times and temperature?
Okay, so prep for me, typically I'm probably going to take at least an hour. My brisket prep is going to consist of a trim, and and Erica knows me. Okay, we talk all the time, but this is one of those things. When I go out there and I trim everything, try to get that decal fat out as much as possible, trim it down as good as possible. Now I'm going to tell you, Erica probably is going to do a trim on a brisket a lot better than me and go that, because she's doing comp barbecue. I'm doing backyard barbecue. So I'll trim it up. And then for me, my times typically, I try to cook between a 12 to 14 pound brisket if I can get it. Typically after trimming, you may go to 10 at the most. And so for me, I'm going to end up cooking that until, like I said, it's probe tender. My temps range anywhere on probe tenderness from like 195. Today I had them at 203 when they were probe tender when I made those today. So for me, on a brisket, probe tenderness is going to be the thing. Another channel that I watch, and I've watched the master classes for Aaron Franklin, and one of the things that he talks about is basically probe tenderness. That's what you want to feel, and there's so many people that do that. And I'm not in the competition world, so I don't necessarily know. But for what you would do at a restaurant, you want probe tenderness, and so yeah, that's basically what I do. And it's just a salt, pepper, 2 parts pepper, 1 part salt, 1 part garlic. Nice and easy. Mike, you can do that, later on, next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Carrie mentioned something. Her and my wife were talking a little bit there in the chat room, and I just caught her comment there, but she was replying back to Teresa, said her husband got a deer last year, and she didn't though. But anyway, Teresa was asking her about deer ribs. How about venison? Do you cook deer meat, venison, or anything? Or do you have access to it?
I typically don't, because I have friends that hunt, but the friends that do hunt live so far away from me that what I'll end up with is, after it's processed, I'll end up with some summer sausage or some sausage links. A funny story, Mike. One day I was out barbecuing, and I was cooking a bunch of briskets, and a lady drove by on a bike, and she saw what I was doing. She's like, "Hey, what you doing there?" I said, "I'm making some briskets." She goes, "Hey, I'll be right back." And I was going like, I didn't know who this lady was from anybody. Yeah. 10 minutes later, she comes back with 4 or 5 packs of venison sausage and says, "Here, I want you to have some of these. Go ahead and try them out." And like I said, I'd never seen her, and that was some of the best sausage. I wish I'd known, how it was made or whatever else, but she just came back on a bike right in front of my house and just dropped the sausage off. And I was like, well, every day you get a little blessing from different folks. And so funny stuff like that happens to me all the time. Somebody's saying, "Hey, here's some meat for you, or here's some food for you. Can you cook this or do that?" So interesting.
I ate a little deer sausage last night, but I'll tell you what, I got a question for you. I'm not sure you're prepared for, but did you know you can tame a wild possum in 5 minutes? Roy says his mom taught him that.
Yeah. Well, we never actually tried it. Daddy caught an armadillo one time, caught it and kept it overnight. And we were looking at it the whole day. And I thought, man, we got a pet. Well, it had broken through the fencing that we had put around it. I mean, totally ripped it up with its claws and was gone. So I don't know about possums, but man, armadillos, they're definitely not pets.
Yeah. Let's see. Patrick says, of all those books on the shelf behind you, do you have a favorite?
Well, let me drop some stuff.
Let me move this question out of the way so people can see.
Right there. So this book is by Cheryl Alters Jameson. Okay. Of all the books that I have, including Aaron Franklin's book, this is the one book that if there was a fire in my house, this would be the book I'd grab. The one, because this book, everything that I've ever tried in here is tried and true, and there's a load of different things. So if you guys can get this book, Texas Home Cooking by Cheryl Alters Jameson and Bill Jameson, God rest his soul. These are great people. This is an amazing book. And like I said, it's my favorite. If I was going to run out of the house, that would be the book I'd take with me. And it's available on Amazon and other places. Not that I'm trying to plug them or anything, but hey, it's there.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see what we got here. Oh, they're going off in the chat room there. I'll let them bite that one out there. I'm going to leave it alone. Try to run off on some other stuff here. You talked about you started your channel in 2019. Do you have any short-term goals for your channel or long-term goals that you're looking at trying to achieve?
Definitely. My goal this year is to try to hit 1,000 followers, subscribers, I should say. I'd really like to get to that. I want to make at least one video, if not 2 videos a week that I can produce and put out there. I bought a couple of cameras a couple of days ago, and these aren't fancy cameras, but I got a deal. I was at a pawn shop of all places, and the guy says, "Hey, $50 for both of these right now." And I still had some of my Christmas money that my mother-in-law gave me, and so I figured, hey, might as well spend. So I ended up, after taxes, I think I spent 24 total dollars of my own money to buy a camera. So I'm going to start doing stuff like that. So the goals are to make better videos. The other part of it, Mike, is to try to get more FaceTime. And that's why I'm working out as hard as I am. We talked a little bit about that. I want to get on camera, but right now my wide angle lens is not letting me get all in there. So I'm working to drop that weight. So I've lost about 7.5 pounds this week. And I'm going to keep working so that someday I can actually fit inside that little area and actually can do some work for y'all and show you what I'm doing.
Oh, don't buy that for a minute, man. Yeah, well, then that brings me to some other questions. So what are you actually recording on now? Or you said you bought a new camera. You hadn't had probably a chance to really record one yet.
No.
With that, but what have you been using, I guess I should say?
Well, I've been doing everything on my phone, and I've got a Samsung S10 Plus, and it's a great phone. And I love that. I think the previous model that I had was, if it's the 9, I can't remember. I think I started recording on that, and I had a little program on my phone that I didn't really, it was pretty dinky as far as the recordings were concerned, but I bought a program to edit on my phone, and it's called Filmmaker. And so I've used that one for a lot of these YouTube folks is probably pretty dinky too. It's what I have access to and what I'm using. And so what I'm hoping to do is eventually transition and get something for my PC to be able to use to make better videos. Because, I'm almost certain there's a lot of YouTube purists and people that are out there that look at some of the stuff I do and go like, boy, that guy's got no clue. And they might be right. But that's the thing, is that I'm every day I'm trying to learn something. So I learned barbecue, I learned video production. I recently got access to a music channel to add more of a soundtrack to some of the things that I have, with more variety, so that I have stuff. I love blues music, and I've put blues on a lot of my stuff, but I've got to have some more variety and stuff like that. And the other part of it too is, when I do a video, I want to be like we're being now. And that's a learned skill, that when I'm trying to show something, I want to give better instructions and to be able to talk through it. And another thing that I want to work on this year is I want to build a set on my back porch and get that fixed up so I can do all my videos out there, because I'll do a lot of stuff in the kitchen. And so sometimes it's difficult to be able to get those things done, because people need access to the kitchen. So I'm not the only person here that cooks and does stuff like that.
Absolutely. My wife gets on to me. She said, today I was cooking some stuff and she'd cleaned the kitchen up. She said, boy, you're messy when you cook, and I am, and I know.
Hey, but, me too.
Hey, you throwed a bunch on me there. I'm going to have to back up and unpack a little bit of that. But okay. Now you're talking about your videos and everything. There's certainly a lot more too than just cooking, isn't there? I mean, as far as making a video.
Definitely, there's definitely so much more to making a video. Now, let's take it on another side of, if you're making a video about a barbecue place. Recently made one with Jay's Barbecue Shack in Abilene, Texas. He's been there a few years. I don't know if you've ever been there, but if you ever get back to Texas, Mike, and get to Abilene, Jay's Barbecue Shack, great place, one of the best craft barbecue places, or just barbecue places in general. That's about an hour and a half from me. But I did a video with him, and I got a nasty comment on it from a person. They said, "Man, you just showed nothing but food over and over." And I said, "That's what I do. I show food. Right. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do, is to highlight the food for the people that are there." So what it entails there is getting good pictures of the food, talking to those owners beforehand, because you go with the camera out to some places and people are like, "What are you doing here? What's going on?" So you got to ask those questions and say, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you. If I come early enough, can we talk a little bit about what you're doing? I want to put that on my YouTube channel." And then, video production, music, maybe in the future, some scripts, things like that I can use to make my recipes better. The other part of it too is learning photography and learning videography. Those types of things are things that I'm trying to get a grasp on. And so that's kind of where I am, trying to learn all that stuff.
Well, you've answered one question for me, and I'm going to answer one for you. Patrick's in the house here, and he turned me on to Epidemic Sound. So you may want to look at Epidemic Sound if you haven't already. There's plenty of blues. That's the one. Cool. So, and I was going to ask you, and I knew the answer to the question anyway, whether you use music in your videos or not. I knew you did, but just for our audience, I was going to ask you that. So do you use that on every video or just certain videos? Or
I try to have a little bit of music in the background. I tend to keep it fairly low because my family criticized me about having the music too loud when I'm trying to talk. And they basically told me, "Hey, listen, that music's too loud. You've got to have it a little bit lower because people need to hear your voice." Right. And I thought that heavy metal loud music while you were talking is awesome.
Me too. Yeah, Teresa said the same thing to me one time, on some videos I was doing. She said, "Man, that music is just so distracting. I'd rather hear you talk and tell, the techniques that you're doing or whatever." And I use music. I don't use it on every video. It just depends on my mood and the actual recipe or whatever. Some I do, some I don't. But I'm like you. I like to leave it low, down just where you can hear it in the background. That way, if you pause while you're talking or whatever, it's still just kind of flowing along. I don't want people to fall asleep or anything like that, so.
Yeah.
But that's great stuff. Now, we talked about earlier before we got on air, we were having some issues with some sound, and we were talking about microphones and different things, and earbuds and all that kind of thing. But what kind of microphone are you using? Are you just using your phone microphone, or are you using?
Yeah. That's all I've had. And so everything that I've pretty much done has been based on what I have immediately available to me. I have some mics, but I have a saxophone mic, okay, because I'm a saxophone player. And so I have that, but I don't know that that's going to work for what I'm trying to do. I could probably pull it off. I was looking into some mics the other day, and I heard an interesting term called lavalier microphone. And I don't know a lot about all that stuff, but the thing is that these cameras that I bought, they all have mic inputs. And so I'm thinking to myself, I might need to get into that, because I know that based on some of the videos that I have seen, the microphone, the camera microphone isn't always as good as having a mounted mic or that lavalier mic.
Right. Roy says nothing says barbecue like some good Iron Maiden or something,
Funny.
We got some other folks with us, Flour, Eggs, and Yeast.
Love that channel, by the way. Love that channel.
Cam, is that right? Teresa and Cam, is that right? I forget. I'm trying to remember everybody's names. Kind of hard for me sometimes. But anyway, good to have y'all with us. We were talking along the lines of uh, direction for your
Hmm.
channel. And I don't want to just stay so much on all this. We're going to get into some technical things, trivia things here shortly if we have time. I don't want to keep you too long. This is great. I love this, man. I could talk to you for hours, brother.
Yep.
But
Me too.
if you could prophesy, let's say it that way, if you could foresee yourself in 5 years, where would you see your channel?
Well, I really want to see my channel at least at 4 or 5,000 subscribers. Um, I want to see videos that are way more professional than what I've got now. I do definitely want to be monetized and have, some of those things. So, I'll have to be honest with you, Mike, and I kind of stole some of your stuff off your channel because I was looking at some of the things, and he said, "Hey, go use this app because this app will help you to build your channel." So I was like, "Okay, why not? I'll go check that app out." And sure enough, I did, and they did give some good suggestions about how you title your videos and things of that nature. So yeah, I'm going to learn. Everybody that is here that I'm already subscribed to, and then of you, of course, I'm going to learn something from you. Every time I meet someone, I want to deposit something with them, but I'm also going to get something just by watching and listening and learning. And I'm going to pay attention to what they do because I learn something every day. And so that helps me a whole lot by seeing the things that all of y'all are doing. And so it's an encouragement to me. Now, it also tells me how lacking I am in some ways and that I've got tons to learn. And so it drives me. It drives me to
Yeah.
be better.
Well, that's a great thing about it. Good to have you, Hobo. Good to see you. I wanted to pop that up on there, but it is something that we all can learn from, and that's the great thing about YouTube. That's a great thing about the barbecue and the cast iron community and baking and just cooking in general. Everybody is so friendly. Everybody's so helpful.
Yeah.
Everybody shares their recipes or shares their techniques or whatever. And I got into a little bit of the the analytics and the different things like that, the tactics and tricks and different things about how to be found on YouTube. And of course, the only way you can do that is to, have some of your titles actually are searchable. So when you type in YouTube search, YouTube is one of I guess it's probably the third largest search engine there is. Of course, naturally we have Google as number one, and then Facebook is probably number two, and YouTube is probably number three, or vice versa. YouTube being number two and Facebook number three. But either way, they're all three search engines. You can type in the search bar and find something. And so when you do that, if you're able to title your videos for something that people are actually searching for, as you begin to rank and grow, you'll be found in a lot of those areas. Your video will pull up. And so that was something that interested me, and that's why I made a few of those videos about TubeBuddy and MorningFame. I use MorningFame a lot, and I've got a link of that in my description on every video, and because it's helped me so much. You can go and look, look at cast iron, look at fried green beans in a cast iron skillet, and you're going to find my video is number one. It's going to pop up, and that's just little tricks that you learn. I know it's a lot of fun to make videos and everything, but if you're wanting to grow, that's just one way. That's just a little tip, a little bit of advice from me. That's one way to grow, is to learn how to be found in search. And
I'll take it. I'll take it all day. I'll take it, and I'll watch that stuff. And MorningFame, in this last week, I got in there and I started looking around after I got your stuff, and I was like, hey, that's a good deal. That'll really teach me some things that I need to know, because you don't know what you don't know. And so when you meet folks, that's always my goal, is learn, whether it's something good or whether it's something not good, learn something from them so that you don't have to necessarily make the mistakes that other people make.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It saves a lot of time, doesn't it?
Sure does. Sure does.
Sir, never say never barbecue. I'm going to have Mark with us. Forget now. I think it's 23rd, I believe, of January. So we're going to
Hey,
have him.
Mark.
Looking forward to him. Are you subscribed to Mark?
I think I am, but if I'm not, I will be.
Well, I'll tell you too, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'll say this too to everybody in the audience. I always leave my chat on where you can come back later on after the video renders. Now it takes YouTube a day or so before the live chat will come back up. So once the video is rendered and everything, you can come back and look at the tab or the tabs underneath the video title itself, and it'll say live chat. You can click on that and go back through the live chat and see everyone that's in here and go back and check out their channels. So, if you're not subscribed to Mac, certainly in Small Town Texas Barbecue, be sure and go over and check his channel out, subscribe to him, and watch his videos, give him a like and thumbs up and all that, leave a comment. And likewise with me as well. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, we'd certainly appreciate you go over and take a look at that and, give us a like and a comment and even subscribe if you feel like it. So, but, we'll just throw a plug in there. How about that, Mac?
Thanks so much. I mean, I appreciate that. And I see there's a bunch of folks in the comments, and one of my friends, El Mero Eugenio Martinez, he's on here. I invited him to come check it out. And then, awesome. Patty Joe, he's got me. He's got my back. He's got me. And I've been watching some of his videos. And like I said, the Vegemite was intriguing. I don't know that I try it. But it looked interesting. And so if I'm ever in Australia and I'm down there with Patty Joe, I'm probably going to try some with him, but who knows?
He's just about got my wife convinced. She said the other day, I seen that on Amazon. We could order some of that. And I thought, oh, Patrick, you're killing me, son. You're killing me, man.
It's good stuff. I like that channel, and a lot of the folks that were on with you the last time, I subscribed to them. Karen out there. I'm sorry, and I'm not good with the names. I remember the channel name, like Chick in the Woods. Is that what it's called? I was on hers.
Virginia Chick Off Road or something.
Yes. Flour, eggs, and yeast. Some of those.
Yeah.
Back porch barbecue. Was it Pickles that was on there last time? Yeah. And I got on with Pickles.
Charlie
and
Pickles,
so
yeah.
I've been enjoying. The camaraderie and stuff. And that's just it. So we got it. And Eric too, little Eric, he's been watching my videos and commenting, and he's a really great guy, and love watching his stuff. He's got a lot of enthusiasm, and being as old as I am, I'd love to have some of that youthful enthusiasm that he has.
Yeah, no doubt. My birthday's tomorrow. I've got Carlos Cravens with Carlos going to be on with me, so
sweet.
I think that's going to be interesting. So if everybody in here, if you're able to make it tomorrow night, we're going to be on with Carlos. And who knows, I might even eat a piece of birthday cake or something. I don't know. You never know.
Woo, man, my mouth's watering.
Well, man, I'm just looking at a lot of my questions here. We touched base on quite a bit of it. We talked about microphone, how you edit your video. Well, no, we didn't talk about editing. What was the software or program you use?
It's called Filmmaker, and it's on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Filmmaker, and they have a free one that you can start out with. That's what I started with. But then they sent me a little note one day and said, free lifetime for $15. And I was like, $15? Yeah. Can't beat that. I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And the cool thing is that they keep updating it with more and more features. It already comes preloaded with a bunch of music. It comes loaded with sound effects. It comes loaded with all kinds of transitions and all kinds of other things. So it's a great starter program for folks who haven't done anything yet. 39. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, that's going to be about 18 times over there, Roy. But anyway, it's 18th power, 39 to 18th. But anyway, that's all right. We love it. We're just happy and thankful. Good Lord's allowed us to hang around this long. We have a blast. So now we talked a little bit about music. We talked about scripts. You don't do a script. You basically wing your videos. Just I mean, you might have some bullet points here and there, I'm sure, but
I think I wrote something one time and I was trying to use it as much as possible. And I was like, I can't read and do this thing at the same time. And so it's something that I'd have to memorize if I was going to do it that way. And so a lot of times I do wing it, and it's in some of those videos. It's quite obvious that I'm winging it, and sometimes the bloopers stay in. If you can catch them, there's some funny stuff there.
Yeah. All right, Robert's putting us on the spot here. He said, "Who's older, me or you?" I'll be 57 tomorrow.
Oh Lord, well, I'll be 92 in about.
Easy.
Nah. I will be 50 this year, Mike.
Awesome.
And the gray in the beard. I used to have a beard as big as yours a while back, but Mama got on my case about it,
Yeah.
and she said,
I
"Hey,
can relate to that.
what the wife wants, 99% of the time, the wife is going to get. So,
Yeah.
you got to take care of Mama because Mama take care of you."
Yeah, I kind of do this just to aggravate Teresa some. I like a good full beard like this. Several guys around in our little small town, a couple guys that go to church with us and everything. They've got some real long ZZ Top beards, man. I mean, they've been growing them for a while, and this is probably about as long as mine will get. And then when spring hits and everything, I'll probably trim her way back because I work outside, and spreading fertilizer and things like that. But
I had to take mine off too. There's another reason, Mike. I was up in Connecticut a few years back. I was selling for a company, and I'd gone up there, and in the airport, I'm coming through, and I had a full beard. Well, I don't know if you know this, but my mama's from Germany, and my daddy's from Texas, and my daddy's a Mexican, a Mexicano. So I've got a little bit darker skin. So I'm walking through the airport, and I've got this big old beard, and I'm going to tell you, this Helga-looking woman is looking at me and says, "Get over here, you big burly man." I had this long beard, and she starts frisking me like you wouldn't believe and wanding me and everything else. And I was just there going like, whoa. So, she saw the beard and she thought, this is one guy that definitely needs a search. I'm just glad we didn't take it to the back room on that one. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest.
Yeah, I knew I liked Mark for some reason. He said, "That's not gray, man. That's chrome."
Yeah, chrome. I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, anyway, that's just the way it goes. I like to aggravate her a little bit. She'll get over it, but we have a good time with it. Matter of fact, and I was telling this, I think last week or whatever, when Teresa and I first met, I had a goatee like you, and but I was so used to wearing a full beard, and then when I started growing, I said, that ain't what I remember. That's not what I'm used to, But anyway. So, all right, I got a couple quick questions too about some of your videos that you've made. What are some of them what is one of them that you had the most fun making?
Trying to think. Some of the videos that I had the most fun making are not the best videos. When I go on the barbecue crawls and get out there, those are a ton of fun. There's one on my channel where I was making a video at Rolling Smoke, and it's a short video, but I was just having fun being out there because there's a guy named Harvey that I met at one barbecue joint. Well, then he ended up working at another one. And so I got to go out there and see him again, and I keep up with him. He's Post Oak Arsonist on Instagram, and he's out there at Rolling Smoke in Austin on 6th Street. And great guy. He's out there doing it for himself and his family, trying to take care of his little ones and stuff like that. So cool deal, because I get to be around people that I enjoy. And for me, a video where I get to eat great barbecue, that's the fun. That's the fun part of it.
Absolutely. What was one of the videos that you had the most trouble making? Or the hardest to make, maybe?
Yeah, the hardest. I'm trying to think. I've had some issues where sometimes, like one day, a good while back, I was having a software update or something, and I had made a video about something or made part of it, and it lost like 7 minutes of footage. And so because of that, and I can't remember exactly which one it is. For all I know, it could be one of the brisket videos, but I did do a video a while back, and there was a piece that was completely missing. And those types of things, when something goes wrong like that, I don't know if it's ever happened to you. And there's probably a lot of stories of folks that said, hey, I hit the wrong button, or I didn't get the footage that I needed. I missed out on something. And, the other part of it too is that you make a video and you put it out there and you kind of look at it. And in my baby video maker's eyes, when I first started, I got a lot of comments, and a lot of them weren't nice, but I took them as, hey, this is a way to improve.
Right.
And so those were kind of hard for me, because, getting somebody putting the mirror up to you is a little difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's the best way to learn and to grow, is to be able to take that, criticism. I was going to say constructive. It isn't always constructive. Sometimes it's just mean and rude, but hey, it is what it is. And what I try to do is just project the kindness to the folks that I follow, and not leave mean comments or anything like that, and just be nice to them and pay it forward. And so I try to pay forward what I hope to get back.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's rare really in our niche, I guess you could say, as far as cooking, and whether it be barbecue or cast iron or baking or whatever. I think it's rare. I mean, you'll have it from time to time, but for the most part, the community is so helpful. They're so friendly, and they leave great comments. Even if, you could have a bad video and somebody say, hey man, look good, and they just kind of encourage you, and that's great. But, everything, those little things help us grow. Like you said, the little constructive criticism does help us make a little bit, because like I was talking about Teresa, I always ask her what she thinks about a video when I'm done. And early on, like we were talking about music earlier, that she said, well, that music's too loud. I couldn't focus on what you were saying and doing because of the music. So I started backing that way off and everything. But anyway, I know that I can probably pull this up here on your channel, and I'm going to go do that real quick.
Okay.
Let's see here. See if I can share this with our audience. Let's see here. All right. Well, we've got your channel pulled up. Looks like you got 296 subscribers as of right now, maybe more. I didn't refresh before I hit this. So hopefully, some of the people that's in here with us will go over to your channel. But I was pulling up what was your most popular video, and it shows Pody's barbecue in Pecos, Texas. And this is one of them that I'm almost certain, if they're right on the main highway, as soon as you get off in Pecos, there's a truck stop right there that I used to go to. And I want to say, if they're just right down the road a little ways on the left, I have been in this joint.
Yeah, it was in an old laundromat that he built, and he built that barbecue joint in there, and he's on the Texas Top 50 list. And this is my most popular video to date. And I'm going to tell you that when I went out to talk to them, one of the big things, they're all about family and friends and all that. And I told them I was making this video, and he was like, oh yeah, please come out here and make the video, and let's talk and all that. And then after I made the video, I said, hey, the video's up, would love y'all's opinion on it. And he shared it with all his family, and they shared it with their family. And so the networking there was really what got that video to where it is. And it's not 1 million views, but it's quite a few for my channel anyway. And so some great barbecue there. And those are great people, very hospitable. If you ever go there, do not miss out on the banana pudding. He does some extra special stuff with that.
Wow. Sounds good, man. That makes me want to have banana pudding now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good stuff. Well, listen, I know we're running a little over, and I hope you get time to stay with us a few more minutes.
I got time.
Awesome. Okay. Well, good deal. Equipment. Let's talk about, I know you use an offset smoker. Mm-hmm. What is that one of your favorite pieces to use, or do you have any certain piece of cooking equipment that you prefer to use?
I try to use an offset because That's what they use at Texas barbecue joints for the majority of places. Now, every once in a while, you'll have some folks out there using the rotisseries, some more mechanical things, and nothing wrong with that. It works. I prefer doing stuff on the offset, so I'm trying to learn how to use the offset. I've got a small char griller. One of my friends, he said, "Hey, I got a little barbecue smoker at the house, and I'm about to take it to the dump. Are you interested in it?" And so instead of him going out to the dump, he dumped it in the back of my truck, and I took it home and I refurbed it and put a new firebox on it. It's a little char griller smoking pro, and I painted it. I added all kinds of ceiling stuff, but the offset smoker is my favorite thing to cook on because that's what I have. I do have a Smoky Joe, and I like that for steaks. If it's just me and my wife eating, or me and my wife and my boys, then I like to make a couple of steaks or maybe some chicken out there with the grill grates. And so for steaks, I like to use that. But for my offset smoking, I have that Smoking Pro, and then I also have an Old Country Pits Angus smoker. And that one, like last night when I was cooking, it's 2 a.m. It's 20 something degrees, and I'm trying to keep it as hot as I can. And it doesn't have the thinnest metal, but it's also not insulated. And a lot of the places here in Texas, they keep their barbecue pits insulated in the firebox. And so that's something that in the future that I definitely want to invest in. There's a lot of great pit makers out there. And it's one of my dreams someday to actually build one of my own. I used to weld a little bit in high school just for the fun of it. And I'm going to tell you, my welds looked like garbage, but I enjoyed it. And so I'd like to build something of my own eventually, maybe some fire pits, but also like to build my own offset smoker and kind of use that. Now, I do eventually want to try out some pellet smokers and some ugly drums, but it hasn't been in the budget. Last August I was laid off. I hadn't worked since then, and so I'm not making any gigantic purchases on anything. So I do what I can do, and I work with what I have, and that's the thing. Is a lot of times it's what you have around and what you do. My dad used to tell me that my grandpa actually they did stuff. They cooked barbecue in the ground. Yeah. And so they dig a hole, put rocks all in there, and they bury the stuff with coals all over the top of it, and then pull it out the next day. And so you use what you have, or you make use of the facilities that you have, and you kind of go from there. So got big dreams. Right now, I don't have the big budget, so that's where I am.
Man, I think you do a great job of what you have, and that's the thing. I've got an old fire pit that Teresa and I put together. It's just cinder blocks, concrete blocks, and we got some diamond wire. I took a piece of diamond wire, cut it in half, and made my grates. Took and cleaned those up and oiled them down real good, and we do some outdoor cooking on a fire pit, and it's just a simple little fire pit. There's nothing, glamorous about it, but it does the job, and that's what you got to do. But, well, I asked you earlier, what your favorite food was. You told us it was brisket. So let me ask you this. If you only had one food that you could eat the rest of your life, what would that be?
Brisket.
I kind of had a feeling because being your favorite. Yeah. So
I love a ribeye too, but that ribeye is like this close to the brisket. Yeah. It's right there. But if I can have a Wagyu brisket for the rest of my life, I'd probably take that.
Yeah. What's your favorite junk food?
Oh man, does that count sweets or?
Well, yeah, junk food. Any kind of junk food.
Man, I'll be honest with you. I love good burgers. I can eat burgers all the time. The thing is that I've had to kind of back up from eating all those burgers and eating, double meats and gigantic buns and all that bread and stuff. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned to me earlier you're diabetic. My wife is too, so I certainly understand that. We got to try to watch it from time to time, but it's so hard, man.
Definitely. There's a question there.
Yeah, it said, are you out in the country where you have unlimited access to mesquite?
I do not. I do not. And you know what's funny is that over the last 10 years or so, back in the day when I was a kid, daddy, they'd get called and they would go and they'd take their pickups and they'd have ranchers say, come and get all this mesquite. Come and take it all down. Take as much of it as you want. Take it. My grandma would use it for her cast iron stove at her house, and she would go out there and chop that wood up. Now, there's no more of that. I can't go get mesquite from anywhere. I can't even pick it up if it's broken off of somebody's tree at some place out there. I can't grab it. I got lucky a while back after a hailstorm and a slight tornado. My brother-in-law's tree broke down, and he had an old big mesquite there, and I ended up with probably, a half a cord of mesquite wood. But around my house, that don't last too long at all. It's gone.
Well, we was talking about I worked out in the oil field some. Maybe you can get some of those roustabout crews or roughnecks out there that, are out on project or out, on location where they're clearing a pad off or something. You might be able to score a little mesquite here and there. I don't know, but I remember years ago when I worked out there, they'd come in with dozers and they'd push out an area, to get ready to set up the pump oil or set up a pump jack or drill or whatever. And tanks, there'd be piles of mesquite, man, 15 feet high, seemed like,
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place. One of the things I found out a while back, I have an uncle that has a couple of barbecue joints up in the Metroplex called Meet You Anywhere. And the thing about his place is that they have a good menu, but they have a lot of what I like to call highfalutin food. They'll do the prime rib and they'll do all these other things. They have some Mexican food there too that's really good and really interesting food. But he told me an interesting story too about when they were kids and they found out that they were actually allergic to mesquite years after they had loaded trailers and trailers and trailers full of mesquite. And, just to say it, I'll be honest with you, I love mesquite for grilling. Like if I'm going to do fajitas, then I love mesquite for that. Right. For smoking, I prefer the Central Texas post oak with a little bit of hickory. Every once in a while, I'll get a wild hair and throw some apple and cherry in there just for some little fruity notes, a little bit sweeter stuff. Yeah. And so I change it up to what I'm kind of looking for.
Yeah, I like fruit woods, man. I use pecan a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, cherry, wild cherry, apple, things like even peach. I've used peach. And,
it's good stuff. Myron Mixon loves that stuff, man.
He just passed away, right?
Myron Mixon?
I think, didn't Myron just pass away recently?
Oh, I don't know. Did he? Man,
I know
he just got elected to mayor again last year, I think, for Unadilla, I think he calls it.
Yeah, I'd have to double check on that, but
that's rough.
Dave, good to see you, man. Dave the Bomb Smokes in the house with us. He was with us the other day and enjoyed the interview with him. But yeah, ice cream.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, what's your favorite ice cream, man?
My favorite ice cream out here in West Texas, we used to have a place, and I don't even know if it still exists, but it's called Gandy's Dairies, and Gandy's had an ice cream, and I think they have it all over the country, but it was branded as Gandy's here. It's called Moose Tracks. Have you ever had that? Moose Tracks?
Yeah, okay, but I don't think it was Gandy's was the name brand, but I've had Moose Tracks, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's weird because in other parts of the country, I was like, this is Moose Tracks. I thought Gandy's had Moose Tracks, but I think it's got some chocolate. It's a vanilla-based ice cream with chocolate, and I think that they've got something in there with either a caramel or a peanut butter, but I can't remember exactly because Gandy's hadn't been here in forever, and so I haven't seen it in the stores anymore.
Well, one of the places down there that I used to go to some was Brahms.
Yeah. We don't have those here in my town because we're out in the middle of nowhere with no interstate. But Brahms up there in the areas around the DFW area, Wichita Falls, places like that. Brahms, We've gone to Culver's. You ever been to a Culver's before? I like their ice cream too. Baskin Robbins was another place that we'd go to all the time. But down here, a lot of us like Bluebell. And then I'm just going to say it straight out. HEB has some of the best ice cream. There is a strawberry. I think it's like an 18 something ice cream. But, man, that's a good strawberry ice cream there. And that store brand, man, I know you used to live here, and I don't know if you know much about HEB, but I love HEB, and they have some really great products.
Yeah. Robert says Myron's 58 and still cooking, so that's great.
Awesome.
I don't know what I read the other day about him, but I read, and I
good news.
I don't remember. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, HEB was a big one down in that area, big grocery store chain. Yeah,
we loved it.
Good place. Do you drink coffee?
I do. Yeah. I do drink coffee on occasion. We our Keurig just went out, and I do some pour over coffee. I've done some French press. We got a Keurig because it makes it easy sometimes to get up in the morning and make a quick cup of coffee. And my wife will wait until I bring her cup. And so, it's my job to make sure that Mama's taken care of. So I'll make her coffee and get that done. And the Keurig makes it a little bit easier for me to do that. Recently, Mike, I got a bag of some Voodoo Roasters. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they sent me a really good bag of fresh ground. They grind it right before they send it to you. And they're great folks. The Voodoo Roasters have some excellent coffee, and that's another one. But lately, I've been trying to support our local coffee shops too. So if I can get around, that's one of the biggest things with me is to support your local folks. If you've got a business, you try to support them. We got a new place in town called Buttercup All Day Cafe, and they're a coffee place, but they're going to have some beer and wine coming up here in the next few months. But had some great coffee there the last 2 days, and probably going to have some more later. But we do love that stuff, and I don't know how you drink your coffee. Daddy drank it black most of the time, and when we were kids. He gave it to us like that, and then he'd put some carnation milk in it for us sometimes. Yeah. But as I got older, we started doing all kinds of fancy coffee drinks, and every once in a while I'll have something like that. And every once in a while I'll just be like, give me some heavy cream and let's put some fake sweetener in there, something. Yeah. So.
I drank my coffee black, but I like French vanilla cappuccino sometimes. That's really fattening, but I love that stuff, it's pretty good. But did you tell me what your favorite flavor of ice cream was, or did you just tell me your favorite place?
The Moose Tracks. Moose Tracks, yeah.
One finger, I got sidetracked thinking about what he was saying. He said he's a pistachio man.
Yeah, pistachio's a pretty good one too. I've had some good stuff, but there's something that attracts me to a lot of the ice cream that's out there, and it's chocolate. I'm a chocolate guy. Yeah, I love some chocolate, man. And that's one of my biggest things is that, this year, back on Halloween, I have a 17-year-old. I have a daughter that's married. I have a 22-year-old, and I have a 17-year-old. My daughter's 24. If I remember that correctly, I hope I do. I'm getting old.
Yeah, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, I will be in trouble if she's watching this. But anyhow, my 17-year-old brought some Halloween candy home, and I was picking through all the chocolate there, and he just had lollipops left, and he just looked at me like, "Hey, what's going on here?" But he goes, "Yeah, you can have that chocolate, Dad." He let me have it. So if there's a bag of chocolate in the house, it won't last long. And I've had chocolate from Ireland. I've had chocolate from Belgium. I've had chocolate from France. I've had chocolate from Mexico, and any place in between. So
yeah,
amazing stuff. Hey, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? What's your favorite?
Lunch. And the reason why is because the best barbecue you could have is at lunchtime. When you go to a barbecue joint and it's just freshly opened and it just came out of the rest and it's on your plate, it's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. All right, I got a few little things here. Let's go. Hamburgers or hot dogs?
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers. All right.
Yep.
Mustard or ketchup?
Mustard.
Awesome. Pork or beef? I know the answer to this.
Beef.
It's a Texas thing. Isn't it?
It is a Texas thing. It is.
French fries or onion rings?
Tater tots.
Tater tots. Wow. Yeah. Would you rather cook at home or would you rather order in, however you want to say it?
Because of where I live, there's great food here, but right now, because of the diet that I'm on, I would rather cook at home. There's some great Mexican food here in town, lots of great Mexican food, and I love it. But
food, by the way.
Yeah, there's some great stuff there. But yeah, I'd rather cook at home lately because I'm in control of what I'm putting in my body.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. What do you like to dip food in as far as a dipping sauce?
My goodness, man, so many things. But one of the things that I like on my meats sometimes is guacamole. Love that. Love guacamole, pico de gallo mixed together. Man, good stuff.
That's the way I make mine, man. I make just regular pico, and then I've got a couple videos. Well, I got one video of making pico, and I tell in that video, and I probably should go back and do it again, but I tell all you have to do to make homemade guacamole is just cut your avocado up and mash it up and put it in this pico, and you've got homemade guacamole. But
it's pretty good stuff, and I love stuff like that. But my wife likes to just have plain avocado with her stuff, and I like the spiced up. I could probably eat your guacamole, probably eat the whole thing and enjoy it, beyond belief, because I like stuff like that. But
me too.
Yeah, that's my thing.
And that's healthy. That's really good healthy food, actually.
It definitely is, and we like to eat it. Good fats, good fats. So I love the avocado. I hated avocado when I was a kid. Hated it. Yeah. I was like green peanut butter. I ain't eating that.
Yeah. Here we go. My cellmate in prison said I looked like a butter pecan kind of guy. I was never sure what he. Okay, Roy, I'm with you.
No, I want to touch that.
Yeah. Horseradish sauce is good with meat, and that's true, man. I do like a good horseradish. Yeah,
true. I learned a lesson about a type of horseradish sauce called wasabi one time.
Yeah.
My buddy thought it was guacamole when he was given some sushi one time, and he got a huge amount and shoved it in his mouth, and boy, he was having a hard time.
Oh, I guarantee you he was, man. Well, I love wasabi. There's a place not too far from where we live, and they have sushi, and they'll have some good, it's great wasabi. It'll clear you out, man. It'll open you up, and it'll bring tears to your eyes. Teresa will be looking at me, and she said, well, that looks like it's pretty good. And I said, yeah, it's real good. You be careful with that because you'll have trouble. But Mark says, lived in North Texas for a while. Calf fries are popular, yes or no for you? There's some good gravy for them out there.
Oh, my goodness. That's kind of a controversial thing for me. Calf fries, I do know what they are. And my mama tried to get me to eat them so many times, but being as part of the male species, I have such a difficult time doing it. It just pains me, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Well, being a Texas guy and everything, I know your favorite is brisket, but do you like pork steaks or beef steak, or do you?
Yeah. Pork? Yeah, I love pork steaks, and I do love pork. One of the places that I visited, I'm not sure if you've seen the video before, but Hellberg Barbecue, they make excellent pork steaks. And down at Snow's in Lexington, they've got some great pork steaks. Miss Tootsie out there, who's an icon in the barbecue industry, they make some really, really great barbecue, and they do have some excellent pork steaks down there as well. So that is definitely something that we actually grew up on those. But my dad used to fry them in the cast iron, so he probably did it a little bit more like you than I would do it. I'd probably cook them out on the grill, but Daddy, he'd fire up probably 2 big old deep cast iron skillets and drop some oil in there and kind of deep fry them. He'd dip them in a little bit of flour and pop them in there and put some seasonings on them. That was some good eating right there. Good pork steaks. Love those.
Like fan breakfast pork steaks, or you talking about?
I'm talking about like probably at least 3/4 of an inch. He used to get them from a local butcher. And he would kind of, they'd be pan fried is what I call it, because they're not deep fried, because it's got a little bit of oil, halfway in the skillet, and he would kind of cook those up, and man, they were good.
Yeah, I love that. All of that, all the above.
Yep.
All of the above. Well, I got to ask you a couple more questions before we wind down here. Of course, you said your offset smoker was one piece that you thoroughly enjoy. Do you have a utensil, any particular cooking utensil or thermometer or anything, all the above, anything above that you like to cook with?
One of the things that I really like is I bought a knife a while back, and I used to use an electric knife for my briskets. Yeah. And I noticed that the texture from the electric knife looked different. And so I ended up getting this long sword-looking meat carving knife. It's been a really good thing for me. I really like that because it slices through everything like butter. So that's one of my favorite things. But that may take second place soon, because I just got a meat grinder and sausage maker. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out.
Yeah, I've had that. I've got an old hand crank grinder, meat grinder, but yeah, no doubt.
Good stuff.
What'd you want to be when you was a child?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think I just want to sit at the house.
Yeah,
I guess I got my wish. No, when I was a kid, I started playing saxophone in the 6th grade, and I was so awful. I was last chair. By the time I got to 8th grade, I was first chair. When I got to high school, I got second in the high school band. And there was a senior that beat me. I was a freshman, and I got second chair. And so I really wanted to be a musician. Mm-hmm. And I am still a musician, and I play. I do play at church. I'm going to play tomorrow. I'm playing a little thing called a Roland Aerophone, because my saxophone is a little bit damaged right now. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play sax everywhere, because that was like the thing. My wife's a sax player, way better than me. I met her in college, and she beat the pants off me. Not literally, by the way, but I got to put that in there in case she's watching, because she did beat the pants off me in school, and she's great. But I wanted to be a saxophone player, when I was a kid, because I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Well, no wonder you said you liked blues earlier.
Oh yeah, blues is my thing. And I've played it a couple of places. I have a friend that's a really good guitarist, and he said, "Hey, you want to sit in with us?" One year, a friend of ours was getting married, and the band actually canceled. And so he called my buddy up, and my buddy calls me and says, "Hey, can you go play at this wedding on Saturday with us?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we got there, and there's no music. There's nothing. He just said, "All right, let's do this in this key. Let's do this in this key. Let's do this in this key." And so we just start playing, and these old folks come up to us. They're all dancing and stuff, having a good time. And this old man comes up and whispers and says, "Hey, y'all are really good. What's the name of y'all's band?" I looked over at him. I said, "What's the name of our band?" What's going on? I don't have any idea. I said, "We don't have a name. I just showed up to play. Some of these people I've never even met before." So, that kind of stuff, when you can do that, it's a lot of fun. And I enjoy it.
Yeah. I used to play the drums a little bit myself, but about the only thing I can pick or blow now is my nose.
Man, I've heard that before. I might have heard that on the last
That
live
ain't
that you
right,
did.
is it? That just ain't right. So is blues your favorite then, or are you kind of diverse in your musical taste?
You know what? I listen to pretty much just about everything. My kids, they get in my car and they're like, Dad, like yesterday, my son asked me, I had a Hank Williams Jr. on,
Yeah.
and God bless him. I was listening to Hank Williams Jr. yesterday, and it the thing is that I really enjoy music for the sake of what it's doing. And so listening to Hank Williams Jr., if you listen to his voice, he does things and he does these little deals with his voice that are very amazing to me. Some people say, "Oh, I don't like that kind of music." Well, I listen to that because it kind of opens my mind to what different people in different genres do. And so for me, it's mind opening. It helps
Yeah.
me to understand and to grow a little bit. So yeah, and I'll tell you, I think we talked a few weeks ago. ZZ Top was, love ZZ Top, that Nationwide, Lagrange, stuff like that. And the majority of it is not always. It's not always for the vocals, Mike. It's about the
Yeah.
music itself. And there's some stuff in that song, that Nationwide song. If you listen to it closely, there's some things that he does there that are very intriguing, and some of the time changes and some of the solos that they're doing, some of the bass licks that guy's throwing down. It's just awesome stuff. So yeah, I'll listen to country rap. And my kids will be like, "Oh, Dad, come on." I some days there'll be a beat going on, and I've been known to drop a freestyle rap, and my kiddos, they're like, "Shut it, Dad! Stop! You're embarrassing us." So yeah, I've done all kinds of crazy stuff like that, but I just love music in general.
Hey, Mark, good to see you, man. I'm glad you got to join us. I sent you an email, so be sure and let me know if you got that email and verify. We're going to be able to do that on the 23rd. But anyway, talking about ZZ Top now, I've been a Top fan ever since they come back out with Rio Grande Mud. It was one of their older albums, and
Mhm.
but what really impresses me more about ZZ Top is, like you said, it's not so much the lyrics or whatever, but I just love a three-piece band. When three guys can put out that kind of music, that's impressive to me.
It
Uh,
is.
Another harder rock group that was another one of my favorite was Rush out of Canada. And of
Hmm.
course, Neil Peart was one of the best drummers I'd ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of rock and roll concerts in person. And I've seen ZZ Top like 7 times, I think, and same way with Leonard Skinner. But just the three-piece bands impressed me more than anything, and that was one of the reasons why I was a Top fan.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've always told, because one of the things that I've done with my kids is I have exposed them to different types of music. And so, I told my son, of course, ZZ Top, it's Texas stuff for us, but
Absolutely.
I just tell my kids straight out, hey, that's the number one, in my opinion, three-piece band that
Yeah.
you'll ever see out there.
Yep.
We got another three-piece band here in the town I'm from called the Los Lonely Boys, and they're from here, right from our town, and so they've got some good stuff too, the guitars and all that stuff, the bass, and
Yeah.
some really, really great stuff. But when somebody has a three-piece band, it's like you said, that plays that good and puts it out there, it's amazing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly was, no doubt. Have you been to some concerts then over the years? I mean, even back, I know before church and everything, but
Yeah, yeah.
back in the
Well,
day.
I have to be honest with you, Mike. Just about every concert that I've ever been to, I was playing in it, and so I didn't get a chance. To be quite honest, my dad was extremely, extremely strict with me. Um, my dad pretty much wouldn't let me out of his sight until I was about 17 and a half, 18. And then he said, well, go do whatever you want now. You're a grown man. And so before that, he kept a tight rein on me. So if I went to a concert, I had my black suit on and I was playing myself. So yeah, I missed that stuff, and I wanted to go to a lot of that stuff, and I'd even ask, and he'd be like, "Nope, can't go."
Yeah.
And so just the way it was.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I like live music, and that was just something that, I got introduced early. Uh, I'm the baby of the family, and my brother next to me, the very first concert I'd ever seen was Charlie Daniels. And Charlie just passed away this year. And of course, I see Patty Joe's got rest in peace, Neil Peart and Ronnie James Dio. All these guys are gone now, And Charlie was interesting, man. I mean, he was unique. He could play. He would sit and play the piano for a while, and then he would get on the fiddle and play. And of course, he'd play the guitar. And same way with you were talking about Hank Williams Jr. earlier.
Yeah,
He's the same way, man. I mean, just diverse. I mean, he's just a talented musician, can play anything you put in front of him. I'll tell you a little story about Hank Jr. one time years ago. I guess this was probably right after the oil field shut down. I went to work for a little while with one of my brothers, my oldest brother, and we were traveling around working on Wyatt's Cafeterias. You remember Wyatt's Cafeterias down in Texas?
I do.
And I was in a little town in southeast or southwest Missouri, Joplin, Missouri, and Hank Jr. come to town, and it was a little small town, man. It wasn't. I'm surprised he was there, but he kept saying, "Hey, you guys, we're going to be out here at the Holiday Inn after the show and everything." So, he was trying to get everybody to come over and do an after show party and everything. So I went over, but you couldn't get nowhere near him, But I had the opportunity to get over and get that close to him,
Yeah, that's it's a lot of fun when stuff like that happens. The closest famous person that I've ever gotten close to ever is actually it's a tie between the singer, one of the lead singers from the Los Lonely Boys, Henry, and he's a guitarist, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Wow.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan was on a flight that I was on one time, and I kept turning around because I was like, I know that guy. I know that guy. And I saw him sitting there in first class, and I looked back, and I was like, there he is. And I'm just waiting for him to give me the thumbs up and pull the 2x4 out. And so I kept looking at him, and he just looks at me, and I'm just like, that's Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Come on.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, listen, I'm going to get ready to try to wind this down. I got a couple more quick questions for you. One, basically, if you were to win the lottery, what would you do?
There's a few things that I would do. Number one, I'd pay off all my debts. I would buy my parents and my wife's parents homes, my sisters and their families homes as well. And right now, when I think about the lottery, I think about what's going on when I saw that 600 million Mega Millions. And so that's kind of where I'm headed with this. But I would also invest quite a bit of money. And then I would do YouTube probably full time, going out to barbecue joints. And instead of having my own barbecue restaurant for the sake of making a living, I would probably do once a month huge barbecue parties if the government would allow it at some point, where we just have big barbecue parties and have people come out and just feed people. Another thing
is, I guess, there.
Yeah, definitely. One of the other things that I want to do, Mike, is if that ever happened, I'd want to make a retreat center and have a place with cabins and horses and stuff like that for people to come out and to unwind and just feed them some good barbecue too, and just share good times with people for them to, get away from maybe the media stuff and just enjoy some time together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been married more than once, and one of my previous wives had family down in La Mesa, Texas, and we would always go once a year to a family reunion down in your neck of the woods. I won't call the town, but anyway, down in that area, and there was a river that run through there, and we always camped out on that river, and it was just for that part of Texas, you would think it'd be just extremely hot, but because the river ran through there, that area was fairly nice, as far weather
Mhm.
wise. And that was probably the second time that I'd ever eaten barbecued goat, man, and I just loved that.
Yeah, we
You
grew up
do
on
got,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, I've that's something a couple of Easters ago. I made some goat and I took it out. I handed my uncle a taco, and I didn't tell him what it was. He asked me in Spanish what it was, and I just said, "Try it. You'll figure it out."
yeah,
So I handed it to him, and the thing is that my grandma used to actually slaughter her own goats before she lived on the ranch, and my daddy would help her with that, and we'd have goat like that all the time. It was a regular thing for us, so much so, in fact, that as I got a little bit older, we had cousins of all varying age ranges. One year, my grandma picked a goat out of the back of a truck from, the guy, we called him the goat man because he was always passing by with goats. Well, she bought a little black goat. We had it in the back of my daddy's pickup. Daddy's pickup had a cattle guard on it and had that black goat back there. And sure enough, all the kids were playing with it and getting to know it and everything else. They didn't have any idea that it was going to get slaughtered. I was a little bit older. And so these kids are all around playing with it. Well, a little while later, grandma calls all the kids in to go eat and to take a nap. And then we slaughtered the goat out on the side of the house. And then later on in the afternoon, kids get up from their naps. They go out back to play again. And when I say kids, I mean like 20 or 30 kids, Mike. That's what we had at my grandma's house. And so the goat was slaughtered. The goat had already been dressed, was already in the barbecue pit smoking, was already cooking up. Daddy was already cooking it. And so the kids were all asking, well, where did Blackie go? Where'd Blackie go? And sure enough, around 6:30 or so, they start serving Blackie on a plate. And I'm sitting next to the kids, and I hear all the kids go, man, I sure miss Blackie. And I looked at one of the kids, and I said, don't Blackie taste good? I said, that's what you're eating. And my parents and everybody else got so mad at me for saying that. But I was like, hey, kids got to know what's going on. But some of those kids were not happy with me, to tell you the truth. One of them started crying, and one of my aunts got mad. And I was like, hey, I was just having fun.
Yeah, that's something, I've thought about, and some of the guys that I kind of hang out with a little bit and talk to or whatever, we've kind of talked about doing a goat sometime, but we just never have yet. And of course, all the craziness going on, really everything's changed, but I still have that in the back of my mind. I thoroughly enjoyed that, man. I mean, I had eaten goat years and years ago, back in the Henry days. We used to have what was called keg parties, and we would slip off out in the country, and have a keg party, and somebody'd be cooking all day, and they'd be cooking goat and everything. And that's where I first ate it. And then, like I said, down in Texas, it was a yearly thing. There'd be all kind of brisket, and then there'd always be goat, and thoroughly enjoyed that, man.
Sounds like your keg parties had better food than the ones I went to, because some of the places I'd gone to some parties, and I even though Dad was very strict with me, sometimes I would be at my job working, and then people be like, hey, we're going to so and so, and I'd be like, all right, let's go. And then they'd give me a ride home. I'd just tell Daddy, hey, I'm getting a ride home. Then I'd get home 2 a.m, and of course, they'd have hot dogs and burgers and stuff like that. And they didn't have all the other stuff, but I grew up on all that stuff we're just talking about. Yeah. And even more, it was very rare that we had something like that, like a just regular hot dog hamburger deal. Right. It was going to be the brisket, the ribs, all kinds of stuff that my granny would make. And a lot of it she slaughtered herself. So, hey, good stuff.
Yeah. I've made 2 or 3 chili videos on my channel, and one of the chili videos, I forget which one it is now, but I kind of tell the story how I got started cooking chili, and it was because of a keg party one time. A bunch of us guys got together, we bought a bunch of meat and everything. So I went to work and started making a big pot of chili, and we bought like 42 pounds of ground meat, ground hamburger, and gosh, we made everything, but I made 2 or 3 big old humongous pots of chili. And of course everybody running around there, and back in the day drinking beer and everything, and they was eating chili, and it just kind of went from there. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
can only imagine after all that about it. What did you do it Texas chili style, or did you do it with the beans in it?
I've pretty much always done mine with beans. I've always been a
Okay.
chili con carne type of fella, you know. But Pete Thomas is in the house. Good to have you, Pete. Pete's over in
Hey, Pete.
Wales somewhere, not London, but somewhere in Wales area. But Pete's a good dude. I watch a lot of his stuff. You watch any of Pete's stuff?
I think that I have, but I mean I've been watching so many stuff. I've been trying to get out there, and all the people
Yeah,
who have become my followers and
yeah,
friends, I'm trying to go and support everybody. So I
yeah,
think I have.
yeah.
If I haven't, I'm sure I will.
Well, like I said, you know, we certainly want everybody, you know, in the chat section. If you've not been over to Mac's channel, Small Town Texas Barbecue, I hope you go over and check out some of his videos and check his channel out and leave him thumbs up, leave him some comments, get to know him, hit the subscribe button, and likewise on myself. If you've not been to my channel, go check it out. I'm going to leave this live chat up, and like I said, once YouTube renders this video, the live chat will be back up, and everybody can go back through and check out everybody's channel name, and be sure and go and support everybody. And Mac, if there was one thing that you could say to our audience and also to your audience, what would that be?
The one thing that I would say to your audience and to our audience in general is thank you. Thank you so much, because I'm learning something from you guys every day. And the community has always been very amazing and accommodating and very kind. And that's the thing. We're all on a journey. Some of us are way further up. I think, if I remember correctly, I did go check out Pete, and I think that he's got quite a few subscribers. See, there's a lot of people out there that have a ton of subscribers, and they've been doing it for a good while. And so you learn from what those folks do. So thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for putting those videos out. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for all of the great things that you're doing. That's really from the bottom of my heart. I'm very thankful, because I learned something. And Mike, I just want to say thank you to you, because, you know, this for me is an amazing opportunity, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your channel, and I appreciate the fact that you do share quite a bit of knowledge about something that is also very beneficial to the community with the cast iron, and for a lot of people who are afraid of it, that they'd go out there and try it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I certainly appreciate that, man. And, you know, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on with us. It's been nice getting to know you a little better. And I want to say I'm really just happy to be able to call you friend. And I know this is
Yes, sir.
not where it ends here. We'll stay in touch and everything. And, you know, we'll just kind of watch each other over time. And hopefully, you know, maybe some other time we can get back together and do another interview and something like that. But we certainly appreciate you coming on with us.
Yes, sir. I hope we can get together and eat some barbecue sometime soon.
Absolutely. Well, hang on the channel here a little bit. I just want to tell everybody we appreciate you guys coming and checking us out. It went a little bit longer than normal, but man, I could interview this guy. I could talk, and I just probably could come up with 15 or 20 more questions right off the top of my head. And so maybe that'll be another time we can do another live interview and do that. So anyway, we appreciate you guys. We're going to get off here. Y'all have a good night. And if you're able to come over tomorrow night, come on over. We're going to be interviewing Carlos Cravens with Carlos. It's going to be my birthday, so who knows what's going to happen tomorrow night. So you guys take care. God bless you. We'll see you later. It's Mike over here at Mr. Cast Iron.